The Dodgers are meeting with Juan Soto tomorrow, as Mark Feinsand reports. He was reading something off from Mark Feinsand. Yes, it's absurd of them to follow $1 billion offseason with a $600 million contract, but Shohei Ohtani's first year in LA blew away all their financial projections, and they need an outfielder. Well, that's great to know. That's great to know that the Dodgers are making money. I was concerned about them. I thought for a second there, I said, maybe the Dodgers are going to go under. Maybe they just maybe that financial investment wasn't going to work out. Well, it's good to know that it's working out just fine. Read some more stuff here on Juan Soto. Dodgers are up next with their Soto meeting expected Tuesday per sources. More on Soto sweepstakes in the story below. That's Mark Feinsand. Soto was scheduled to sit down with the Yankees on Monday. The Red Sox, the Mets, the Blue Jays. Other teams Soto could meet with include the Philadelphia Phillies, the San Francisco Giants, and the Tampa Bay Rays. What's the last thing that I saw here that I wanted to make mention of? Okay, talking about the deferrals and the fact that Ohtani's basically not getting paid until his contract is done, so they have money to spend if they'd like to spend it. All right, let me just give my quick thoughts on this, and then you guys can feel free to give your thoughts as well on the Juan Soto front. Chris says, watching live finally. Welcome, Chris. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Okay, so let me give you guys my thoughts on this. About, I think it was a little bit over a week ago, Doug McCain, Dodgers Nation, does a phenomenal job, obviously around baseball, specifically around the Dodgers, came on here and we're having the conversation about Juan Soto. And if you guys remember, about a week and a half ago, maybe even 2 weeks ago now, there was a conversation out there of whether the Dodgers should go after Juan Soto. Does that make sense? Does it not make sense? It's absurd if they do. Absurd in the sense it's like, geez, does the money ever end with the Dodgers? No, they are printing money. I think right now, I don't know what the United States is in debt, but I know we're trillions in debt. One way to get out of debt is just ask the Dodgers to hand over some money, and they could actually help the entire country out for how much they're printing money over there. I will say this on the Juan Soto front. Doug McCain had mentioned this, and I thought it was a really, really good point and a really good argument that he made. His point was he does not feel like the Dodgers are going to go out of their way to go try to sign Juan Soto. But here's what the Dodgers can do. The last two teams that were left in the NL were the Mets and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Mets are also tied to Juan Soto. Can the Dodgers just drive up the price on Juan Soto and make the life of the New York Mets just a little bit more complicated? Okay, who are the last two teams left standing? One in the AL, one in the NL. Last two teams left were the Dodgers and the Yankees. Obviously, Juan Soto was with the Yankees last year. They get to the World Series. They fall short against the Dodgers. Can the Dodgers make the life of the Yankees a little bit of a living hell? I think that's part of the concept in this strategy of the Dodgers is, look, they are in a big market. I wouldn't even be surprised or shocked that they make some type of a deal, but it's not going to be for 13 years. What the Dodgers are more accustomed to doing, and I think what they'd be more comfortable with doing, is can they offer him 6 years, but a really, really high amount per year that the amount per year might be more than what other teams are offering, but they're not going to offer him 12 years or 13 years or something along those lines. I don't think the Dodgers are going to go that extreme. I don't think the Dodgers are going to go that long term. That's my opinion. But I think they can be a headache for teams like the Mets or teams like the Yankees. And you know what? Scott Boras is, no question about it, going to drive the price up as best as he can. This is what he does. But what Scott Boras also doesn't do, he doesn't take discounts. Scott Boras is not in the business of, well, if you go to the Dodgers, you got a chance to compete and Ohtani's there and this guy's there. He's trying to get just the maximum amount of money for Juan Soto. Remember, Juan Soto was offered $400 plus when he was still with the Nationals before he got traded to the Padres and then got traded to the Yankees. They had already established early on that $400 plus was not going to be enough, that He was going to take his chances in the open market, and that's exactly what Juan Soto was doing. And that's exactly what Scott Boras is doing. I don't think the Los Angeles Dodgers are going to be signing Juan Soto. But let me play out a little hypothetical here. If he did sign, let me actually play this one out. Last year, I didn't think the Dodgers were going to go trade for an injury-plagued Tyler Glasnow and guarantee him 5 years. That just that's not typically what the Dodgers do, but they did it. The Yamamoto one's, I think, a little bit more unique because everybody was offering him 300 plus, and at the end of the day, you didn't have to give up any prospects or anything like that. You just had to pay for him, and the Dodgers don't have a problem paying for certain players. But what the Dodgers typically do, if they're going to go out, Freddie Freeman was a 6-year deal. Shohei, yes, it's a 10-year deal. That's the biggest no-brainer out there, and the Dodgers are the ones that had the most resources to go make it happen. Mookie, in a sense, was a no-brainer. His age, how long he's going to be productive for, the fact that he's a Gold Glove right fielder, that he can be in the outfield. The problem with Soto is in 5 years, maybe even less than that, he's going to be a DH. We already got Shohei as your DH. So I think this is all smoke and mirrors. I mean, listen, if he did sign with the Dodgers and the Dodgers decided, we don't care, we got more money than we can possibly imagine, we want to go Shohei and then Mookie and then, I don't know, Freddie and Soto and go down the list of what that lineup can look like, I'm not discounting what Juan Soto is. He's a baller. Soto batted .288 this past year. He had 41 home runs. He had 109 RBIs, and he played 157 games. The dude is an absolute baller, no question about it. But does he make sense for the Dodgers? Do the Dodgers need a player like Juan Soto? I think he's going to stay on the East Coast. I think it will be the Yankees or the Mets. I think somebody's going to overpay him, and then in 6, 7, 8 years, they're going to sit back and say, that's a lot of money for a player that isn't out in the outfield or is only a designated hitter. But it's baseball. There's a lot of really bad contracts out there. I mean, I could tell you this firsthand. Padres have a couple really bad contracts that you're going to sit back on and look and kind of say to yourself, wait, what did they do? Why did they do that? What do you mean Xander Bogaerts is going to be a part of the Padres for X amount of years, whatever the case is? There's a lot of bad contracts in baseball. There's a lot of bad contracts in basketball. There's a lot of bad contracts in all the leagues. And I'm not, look, I hate it because it sounds like I'm saying Juan Soto's not worth the money. I just don't think Juan Soto, the Dodgers don't have to have him. And they won a World Series without him. And they even went out and got a player on a 1-year deal in Teoscar Hernandez, who had put up great numbers, who cost them $20 million. I'm not telling you that that's what Teoscar is going to be if they re-sign him this upcoming year. Certainly, they're going to have to give him more money, more guaranteed money in more years. But the Dodgers typically have been frugal to an extent of how they spend some of this money. And then the long contracts, the big contracts, are usually slam dunks that are no-brainers. I don't have a feeling it's going to be Juan Soto. I don't think they're going to sign Juan Soto. But at the same time, maybe this is a different world for the Los Angeles Dodgers because they did win a World Series, because they have so much money, because they got all these other players now that are locked up as well. Juan Soto is one of the best young players. He turns 26, or he just turned 26, one of the best players in the league. I just don't see it happening. That's my own personal opinion.